Hi, and welcome to another lesson of our Web Design Bootcamp. In this lesson, we are going to learn about how to completely customize your WordPress website. If this is the first video you're watching, just bear in mind that this is a continuation of a series of videos that we are doing as part of our Web Design Bootcamp. Hence, you may want to check the previous videos to appreciate everything that has been done. But if you want to continue from here, what you need to know is that in the previous videos, we built a website using some starter templates that WordPress provided us with. So in this video, we are going to learn how to edit these templates that we use to make it ours. And by so doing, we'll get to learn exactly how these starter templates were built so that in subsequent lessons, we'll be able to build our own website from scratch. Let's get into the computer and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So in the computer, make sure since we are building locally, if you are doing yours on a live server, then this will not apply to you. But since we are building locally, make sure you turn on your XAMPP or any alternative that you are using. And once XAMPP is open, ensure that Apache and MySQL are turned on. How to know that? If these buttons have turned to stop instead of start. So these other ones are at start because we've not started them. Once you start them and they are running, you get to see stop here. And also you get to see the status change down here. So for Apache, attempting to start Apache, status change detected is running. Then MySQL 2 is running. Once both of them are running, the next thing is to open a browser of your choice, preferably Chrome, because that is what I'm using to illustrate. Then to access the website, those of you who have been following, we have created a website already, and the name of the website we gave it, the folder was wdb.com. So to access it, we type in localhost/wdb.com. Okay, so enter that. If you enter this, the first thing it's going to do is take you to the website that you have created. That is the front end. But to be able to edit or customize it, we need to get to the back end where we'll find the WordPress dashboard and do the necessary customization. So in order to access the back end, instead of searching for or instead of entering just localhost slash the name that you gave your folder, you would have to add an additional thing, which is localhost slash the name of the folder then slash wp dash admin. I know this sounds a lot, but just as I was talking about, once we enter just the localhost wdb.com, it brings us to the front end of the website that we have created. If you want to go to the back end, we enter. So in addition to the URL that we have already entered, we add wp-admin. So that is what we enter in order for us to be redirected to the back end. If you are not already signed in, it's going to ask you for your details. So your username and password, that's all, email and password. Okay. Right, so now I've logged into the back end of my WordPress dashboard. And as you can see, if you have watched the lesson on the dashboard or back end, you would appreciate everything here. Currently, we have some updates, so you can check it up, some updates to be done. But let's also open the site so that we know exactly what we want to customize. In editing your website, there are a few things that you want to customize. It could be the fonts, it could be the color, it could be the text on there, it could be the image or any other media on there. Then it could also be the structure. The structure, maybe the number of columns that are used, you want to add on, you want to bring an icon. Okay, so all these things could be changed, and that is what we want to learn how to change over here. And from the previous video too, we talked about the fact that we are using a page builder called Elementor. And this page builder, we have to know our way around it before to be able to edit the website completely. Therefore, let's start from the home page. Let's do some customization on our home page. Home page. So let's go to pages. To access pages, go to all pages. Then we are going to look for our home page. This is our home page, and we want to choose edit with Elementor. But I'm editing, I want to open it in a new tab. So open link in new tab. So I will go there and edit it with Elementor. Good. So now we are in Elementor, and by the time we are done with this video or this lesson, you should appreciate how these elements were used in building this particular page, so that at the end of the day, you'll also be able to create your own page from scratch and also be able to edit any page at all. So in the first instance, I've said that when you're building a page, you create sections. Okay, so if you are looking at this particular page that we are having now, the very first part up to this level is one section. Then the next part from here to the bottom here is also another section. So in Elementor, a section is designated by these three buttons that you are seeing here, three icons that you are seeing here. Okay, so once you see something like this, it means that you've selected a particular section. By clicking in the middle here, you select a particular section. So if it is this section I want, I click here, I've selected that section. If it is this section I want, I click here, I've selected that section. When I come here, so you realize that these are put together as sessions that are put together. So you create a first session, you work on it, then you create another session. So if we want to work on the first session, which is this, then we have to click this session. Then we'll go to, let's start with the styles. We want to edit probably the color, the background. It could be an image that is in the background, you don't know, but you have to find out. So we are going to find out what is in this background, because you can see some circle or O at the background. Is it an image or what is it? So to access this session's background, you've clicked on the middle icon here, which is to select the section. Once selected, you see this option here, edit session. So we can edit the layout. That's not what we want to worry ourselves about right now. Now let's go to the styles. So on the styles, we have background type. And background type now it is color. So you see this color, meaning I can change. It's because of this color, that's why you're seeing the blue background. So I can decide that I don't want blue. Maybe my brand is any other color. So as you can see, when I move it around, it keeps changing the colors. Okay, so you decide what color you want to give this. And I think I'll leave it here. Okay, now there's still something inside there that doesn't look like just color. So I'm thinking that there's a background overlay. So there's a background overlay, as I said, yes. So let me explain this. We can do two things, one or both. So you can do either one or both of them. What happens is that when you choose a background, you are also allowed to add an overlay. That's something that will be lying over the background. But in both cases, these are all at the back of every other thing you're putting on the session. Okay, so in this case, we had the color being the background. Then inside that color, you've put something over it. So you've overlaid something on it. And this that has been overlaid is actually an image. So when you come to the background overlay, so when you come to styles, we are seeing the background overlay, the border, the shape divider, then typography. So we have looked at background and it was color. We changed the color. You can decide that your background you want an image. So come and select any image and put it there. If I decide so, you see my background has changed to the image that I've chosen. But let's delete this and keep the color. So this is for the background. Then we go to the background overlay. So the background overlay, you realize that there is some circle in there. It's an image. The color has not been selected. That is why you have this cancel. Let me try that with the color for this for you to see. So if I don't want this, you have clear color. So there it is. When you choose this clear color, it has cancelled it. So if you don't want the color, that's what is going to happen. You select that to clear the color. Okay, let's go ahead with the background overlay. So click within this and you find a particular image. This is the image, and this is likely to be a PNG. Okay, it's an SVG file, right? So yeah, it's just a cell code that has been put in there. If you don't want it, you can delete that and add your own, or you can bring in your own PNG or SVG file as well. So that can be done. But for now, let me just delete it. I want you to customize everything, like touch everything that is possible. So now I've removed that one. If you want, you can bring your own overlay. So for now, let's choose the black overlay. And this is what is happening with the overlay. You can decrease opacity, you can increase it. So that is exactly what is happening. Right? Then you can decide that how the blending should be. Respect to blending your overlay and the actual background is set to normal by default. You can play around with the rest and you see the effects that it gives you. Okay, so you choose the one that you think is the nicest, then work with that. Okay, so instead of the color, let's cancel this, go back and get an image. Want to choose this image, okay, then you set it. So you can see that it is in there, but it's now more faint than it used to be. So opacity, with opacity, we can increase the opacity, and as you increase the opacity to 1, then it's becoming more visible. The moment you begin to decrease it to 0, then it's becoming less visible, as you can see for yourself. Okay, so with the image tool, we have the ability to make the position, to change the position. So this is in the y-axis direction, that's vertically. If you want to move it horizontally too, you can move it as such. So you can decide where you want to put it. Alright. So you can add your own image, any image at all you want, and play around it as such. Then scroll or face for the attachment, how it should be attached. Okay, whether sometimes the image is too small, so the system will automatically repeat itself, whether you want to repeat it or not. The image is this big and you want it to be just once, then you make sure that it is set to no repeats. Good. Okay, so that is for the overlay. The borders for this particular one will not be necessary, so you go ahead and update it. Then let's go to inside this same. So just for you to see, to preview it, you can come and click this eye icon here, and it will open it for you to preview in a different tab. Okay, but sometimes when you're working, you're not ready to preview. You just want to see how it's going to look on the full screen mode. So then you click on this hide icon over here to push it aside so that you can see exactly what you are working with. So now let's try changing the text. This is the most reliable plumbing services in San Francisco. You want to change it. So to change the text, make sure your section that you are working with is selected. This section is selected. Then come in here, then just click within. So as I click within, I'm able to edit this. And you realize that this is an element. Let's see the element that was added. If I click on this pencil icon, let me do something here. So within the session, for those of you who have watched the previous video about pages, I explained it. Within the session, we have 2 columns that have been created here. So this is a column. if I click on this black with a white icon here, then I am just working on the column, not necessarily the content of the column. The same will apply here. It's the column. So with the column, maybe you are working with the height, the width of the column, the background of the column, you can do that. But now our interest is in the content inside the column. So when I hover on it, I get this edit icon here. Click on it, and it tells you the particular element that is being used here. We are using an image boss. So this is called an image boss. So if you come to your element, when you click this great boss here, you'll find all the elements. You can search for image boss and image boss. So you see, this is the image boss and how it looks like. Meaning, this is ideally supposed to be having an image somewhere. It has the image boss has an image at the top. It has a heading, then some form of content. Okay, but the person who built this decided not to add an image. So that is why the choose image here is empty. If we decide that we are going to add an image to that part, this is how it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks like, and you can style it anyhow you want. So when it comes to the styling, you can change the spacing between them, the width. So these things it takes time to get used to, and you have to play with them a lot to get used to them. All right, so once you start playing around with them, you will be fine. Go ahead and delete the image. So if we want to change this title, then it means we have to come here and change the title here. Instead of saying the most reliable, maybe I should say welcome to the best web designing bootcamp. Okay, so something like that. And now we are good to go. Yes. So let's change our image on the side here. Everything you do want to update the work. Otherwise, you can lose it anytime. So for here, any text that you want to put there, put your text there. Then we want to change this image. To change the image, make sure you hover on it and find where you get the edit icon. So here, the edit icon is here. As I click on it, you see edit image. So the elements being used here is the image element. I can go here and delete the image. You can decide to upload your own image, use an image that you have already uploaded, or go to Pixabay, which has been incorporated in here for you to get a free image. So let's see web design. Search for web design in Pixabay to get a free stock. We didn't get some. Let's try website. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose one of these. I think this is nice. Let's choose that one. Okay, then let's insert the media. Okay, so as you can see now, I've been able to change that. And so with the styles too, about the text, I forgot to mention about the text, we can change the fonts, style, the font size. So you have to go to style, then look for typography, so content. Then this is where we have the title. The title, we can change the color of the title, see what is happening, and change it to any color we want. Good. Then typography, so the fonts. Now it's using the default fonts family. You can decide that you don't want that, you want something else. There are a lot of fonts here that you can try. Sometimes you need to try your hands on them to get used to them. Then also you may have your own favorites. Personally, I have my favorite fonts that I use for most of my web design contracts. Okay, but other times too, the person you are working for may have their own brand fonts. Okay, the font for their brand. So they'll tell you exactly what to use and what not to use. Good. Okay, so let's go back to default. Then text shadow. So you can equally give your text some shadow. You set the color of the shadow here. Maybe I want it to be more black. So as you can see, there is some shadow at the back of the text now. Okay, and when I pull it back, when I drag it back, you see that it is disappearing. So I want a little of it. Good. Then you can decide to pull it along or pull it upwards or downwards. You see? Good. Okay. So if you don't want it, then you can set it back to the default by clicking this. Then you go on. The description, which is this is the color of the description. If you want, when you are working on any color picker, the down here is to decrease the opacity of whatever color you've chosen. So this is at white. White color has been chosen. However, the opacity has been set into the middle. So this is basically opacity, or some people call transparency. So as you increase it, it becomes more transparent. So as you decrease it, then the opacity is decreasing. Good. All right. Now let's move on to another thing, the button. Let's work on the button. So this button here, put it down. Was it like that initially? I don't think so. Maybe because we decrease the. Anyway, let me teach you how to change the button. So just make sure if you want to edit and you go full screen mode like this, you can't edit anything. So you have to make sure you are not in full screen mode. Then you click on this to select the button. Then as you can see, edit button. So now we can edit the button. This is the link that the button should lead us to. So if you want to state the specific place that the button should lead you to. If you have a separate link, you put that link in there for the button to lead you to. Then, so this is for specifically for the button. We can change the text in it here. This is the text. Okay. You say request a callback. So I can say give us a call now. Good. Then see the default is blue. We can change it to info. I think the info is the default. Okay. Then what it means here is that they are using the styles to over. Yes, I said it. They're using the styles. So you have to go to the styles if you want to change the color of the button. But you have the sizes. You can choose extra small. You can choose small. You can choose medium and large. Some of these things are not taking effect because it has been overruled with the styles. So when we go to the styles, then you'll be able to change them. Then the icon, if this icon should come before your text or it should come after the text, you choose where you want it. Then icon spacing. So you see how far away should the icon be from your text. Okay, good. Now let's go to styles. And in style, the first thing that catches my attention is the color. If that is not the color I want, then I change it to the color I want. Good. So we've done this. Then you should also realize that we have two different colors we are dealing with here. That's the color of the text in there, then the color of the button itself, which you can call the background color of the button. Then also there is some form of hover. When I hover on it, it dims a bit. So we should be able to change all those ones. When you come here, background type is color, which is white. We can decide to change that to black or any color that we want. If I change it to black, then I want to change the text color to white. So I come back to text color and change it to white. Then let's see. I think there is a hover effect that yes. So the hover is here. This is the normal. This is the hover. So the hover effect, we are showing this color. That's why when you hover on it, it gives you that color. So you can decide that we don't want that color to be a hover color. Let's choose something like this. And as you can see, when I click on it, it changes the color for me. Good. So you can play with it and make any changes that you want. Okay. I've not spoken about the advanced tab. Let's try that and see. With the advanced tab, we are able to set margins and paddings. Margins and paddings. If you have an idea about CSS, that is the programming language for styling websites, you would know what margins and paddings are. But let me explain to you if you have no idea what they are. When we talk about margins, so for instance, this particular thing that we are working with, let's say this button, the button is having some form of relationship with any other element around it. So for instance, this button has a margin top with this text element here. Okay, so there is some form of boundary between them. So we call these margins. Obviously, we all know what margins are, like the borders. Okay, but in this context, we are looking at the spaces between these two different elements. So for each item or each element, you look at the space to the top and you call that margin top. You look at the space to the bottom, we call that margin bottom. To the right, margin right. To the left, margin left. Okay, so if I want to increase the space to the bottom of this particular button, make sure that button is selected by clicking this. Once you have edit button, go to advanced. Then in advanced, we have margin top, which is 10. So that's how come there is this space between the two of them, the top and the bottom. There is that space. If I should decrease it, you realize that we are decreasing the space between them. So let's send it back to 10. Then we have margin button. That's the lower part. So for margin button, if we increase it, we now start creating some space there. This means that for this particular one as well, the column itself is likely to be a margin top at the top here. That is why it has been widened. Okay. Then we have padding. We have padding. Padding is when, even though we are looking at these two elements, this time around is not the space necessarily the space between the two elements, but within the one of interest. So if I go and I say, let me increase the padding for this button, let me do that for you to see. So padding top for this button, you see how it is increasing. It is not the space between these two, rather it is within the button itself, this element itself, that you are creating that space. Unfortunately, because this is selected and linked together, it means once I am increasing it, I am increasing both the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. Okay, so let me set it back to 0 and turn the linked one off so that you see just the top. You see what is happening here? It's just the space between this and this side itself. This whole element is the bottom element. So it's creating space within itself. So with the padding, it increases the space within the element itself, but the margin increases the space between two different elements. Okay. So when we start increasing the padding, this is what you get. You can decrease it. If it is to the left, maybe it is too attached to the left, so you want to give it some space there. Okay, so you have to play with it to really appreciate how the two of them differs. But the basic difference is that the margin creates some space within the element itself, whilst that is for padding. Padding creates space within the element itself, whilst margin creates space between two or more elements. Okay, so that is for the advanced parts. You can have these other ones too, which sometimes are not applicable to everything. Okay, but once they are there, you can also try them out and make use of them. So this is how our site is looking. Let's update it and preview it. Let's go to our preview. Good. So this is how our site is looking. Now let's go to the next session. Alright, so quickly what we can do in the next session is to select this element, we want to change the image to an image that we like. Let's search for websites again. Let's select this one, then insert media. Wait for it. Good. So our website is taking shape. Who we are. So let's edit this. Just make sure you selected this, then you come and say we are the experts in web design that you can trust with every work of yours. Okay, then we can go ahead and change this simply by clicking inside. You can edit this to change it, but as you can see, this is looking good already. Maybe you want to change the color of this button. Let's go and change it. So to change the color, after selecting it, you go to styles. That's where you find the color. Then the color we are talking about, the background color, not the color of the text. If you want, this is text color, you can change it. You can change the background color. Over here, you realize they are not using the background color. So if you realize that the background has no color, it means that they are using the styles from here. Success is green, warning is brown, danger is red line. Yes. So you can come and change any of these, or you can override the background color using this. So you come look for background color, then choose the color you want. You see, as I move it, it changes. Good. So let's leave it here. Then update our site. Okay. So now you see how it is going. You can do same for everything. But let's bring in something that is not already there. Maybe we want to introduce a new session. So to introduce a new session in here, let's see what you have to do. To introduce a new session, what you can do is you use this plus icon here. You see add session plus. Now to add a session, you can click here to start creating it from scratch. But this thing, the starter template tool gives us some that we can work with. So you can click on it and choose whether you want to import a whole page, which obviously you wouldn't want to in this case because we have created a page that we are editing. So you go to blocks and you can choose any of the blocks that you want to work with. Maybe I want to add something like this to my website. Then you can just click import the block, import it for you. Good. So this is the block that we have imported, and we can edit this for the work. Okay. So we have a text here. Say, let's say anything that comes to mind. Projects undertaking. Projects undertaking. Then maybe you come and edit this and say, go here, edit it and say e-commerce websites. You can say personal portfolio website. So it depends on the work you are doing. Okay, I'm just showing you how you can make changes to these things. So here, if it is number of website, obviously we wouldn't need that percentage sign. So you can edit it as such. Good. At the end of this lesson, I want you to be comfortable enough to play around with the Elementor team in customizing any page at all that you have. Okay, so hopefully you can edit any of them. So this is a testimonial inner session. Let's talk about inner session. So let me go down here and create a new session. After creating a session, after clicking this, creating a session, one of the elements here is inner session. So maybe you choose a plain one and you bring heading into this. The heading is too close to this. So the first thing I would want to do is to bring a spacer. So bring a spacer in between them. Then you can set the length or height of the space. Okay, so let me space it out this way. Then this heading, I want to center it. So to center it, alignment to center it. Then you can change the text here. This is an inner section parts. So now, what do you mean by inner section? Even though I've created a section and it's just one row, I can introduce an inner section. This is the inner section element. Introduce it in here and decide the number of columns I want to have here. So to have a certain number of columns, you can always come and change them. You can even click on this class to add new elements. To be able to add on, if it is more than 2 columns that you want, you have to select that inner section. Then at the layout, you find structure down here. So the structure, you choose which of the structures you want. You can decide to reset it as well. So you can have, in this way, this side is smaller than that side. Maybe I want to put a contact form here. So let's look for form. Do you have anything like that? Form. Okay, we have these forms. They are logged. Okay, WP forms is here, but we've not created a form yet. So we'll have to go and install this plugin and create a form before it works. So I think we'll have to look at that later. Let's look at maps. So you can add almost anything that you want. So you can put your maps here, then you write something about location. So when you select the map here, you can edit it and make sure that it's pointing to your location. Just go to Google Map and go and look for your location and come and paste either the log lags value here or what value, whatever text that you find on Google Map, come and paste it here and it will automatically find it for you. You can increase the height, see what is happening here. You can increase the height the way you want, the zoom, the level of zoom as well. Whether you want to zoom into it more or zoom out of it will be totally up to you. Then maybe I want to put a heading here and say our location. Our location. Good. Then address. You want to put an address there. You could do it using the text editor. Then you edit this text. Say Accra Central, anything that you want. Let's say even our mailing address, PO Box 55. Yes, then so you can type in anything at all that you want, and that is how to use the inner section. Okay. Oh, I didn't even know that there was one down here. Okay, good. So there are a lot of other elements. Unfortunately, I can't go through all of the elements. If it is a button that you want, you can bring in the button to wherever you want to put it. Okay, so that is basically how to go about it. And in the subsequent lesson, where we build a whole website from scratch, I hope from there you would appreciate all of these and how they work together. But hopefully, by watching this lesson, you should be able to edit any element in your website when you want it. Thank you for watching this lesson, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.